Oh, it is. It is a wonderful Tuesday episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno. Hello to everyone who's already in the live chat. I see our guy Big Dan 305 is in. Good afternoon to you too as well. David is already taking shots at LeBron. This brings a tear to my eye. I love it. Finn's Tailgate, our guy Chris is in there. And yeah, be like Chris. Smash that like button. Whether you're watching us live right now here at 2 p.m. on YouTube, or you watch us later on via replay, do us a solid, do me a solid, do the network a solid, do my self-esteem a favor, because it makes me feel good when I see a lot of likes. Smash that like button, smash it, the thumbs up button, hit it, and make sure you subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Happy birthday, by the way, to, hello, Marco. It's not his birthday, but happy birthday to Manny Chang. Manny Chang, our producer, who's I'd love to tell him happy birthday to his face, but I've given him, these last couple of days off. I gave him yesterday off and I gave him today off as if I had any choice in the matter. He took the days off. He's at Disney World. He's at Hollywood Studios right now, probably waiting in the 3-hour-long line to ride the Star Wars ride, ride the Rise of the Resistance, which is an awesome freaking ride, by the way. Hello, Jay. Hope you're doing well also. So, yeah, everybody, I'm sure Manny's going to come back and watch this later because he has this weird fascination with watching back all the shows. God bless him for doing that. But, yeah, wish him happy birthday in the comments, and I'll flash up as many of these as I possibly can because I'm going to tell him, Manny, get your ass onto YouTube right now. Watch the replay of the show and see everybody wishing you a happy birthday. So we're on an hour early today. As we do this from time to time. And, yeah, it's because I've got a soccer game to watch at 3 o'clock. Derby della Madonnina, Inter, my beloved Inter Milan, taking on AC Milan in the first leg of a 2-legged Coppa Italia tie. So I want to be finished as close to 3 o'clock as possible. But the other reason why we're on early today is I just could not wait an extra hour to talk about the Miami Heat. I could not wait. The Heat smashed the Chicago Bulls last night. Now, in 13 minutes, Brady Hawk from the 5 Reasons Sports Network is going to join us to chat about last night and talk about the Miami Heat. Hello, Alex. Welcome into the live chat. And keep in mind, if I'm seeing some new faces in here who don't comment every day or don't come in and watch us live every day, at the end of the show, I'm going to throw out as many shout outs as I possibly can. And I always skip a few people by accident, but it is what it is. We are only human at the end of the day. And Devin is correct. The Miami Heat are the best team in the East. Not only do they pass the eye test, they pass the standings test as well. The Heat are not only still, as they've been for quite some time, the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, but they are the number 1 seed by 2 full games, dispatching of in the standings anyway, their top competition last night in the Chicago Bulls. The Heat getting it done by a final score of 112-99 Monday night at FTX Arena. And it wasn't even that close. The Bulls had a little garbage time run to make the game look closer. I won a bet on the Heat last night, Heat minus 4.5. And, of course, I finally win a bet, and then my guy Brooklyn Rob is not here in the live chat for me to – I've actually won 2 straight bets, Miami Heat against the spread. They were minus 4.5 against the Knicks, easy money, minus 4.5 against the Bulls, easy money. Guys, watching for this stretch of what it's been 11, 12 games now, when Bam Adebayo is playing the best basketball of his career, he's playing at a level all of us know he's capable of. There's a reason why Adebayo's nickname is No Ceiling. So if anyone thinks, oh, look at how good Bam is playing, who should be, absolutely should be, and should have been the defensive player of the year, it shouldn't even be a debate. The guy is so freaking awesome. That block shot on Vucevic yesterday was one of the most impressive, explosive, athletic things I've seen all NBA season long. But Bam Adebayo, for this last dozen games, is playing at such an incredible level. And I think he has finally now, over a multiple week stretch here, Bam Adebayo has cracked the aggressive code. Hasn't that been what we've been saying about Bam all along? I mean, he put on the scoring clinic against the San Antonio Spurs. This time around, Bam just put the all-around clinic on, 2-way, 3-way player. He just had an exquisite performance yesterday. Bam Adebayo is no longer timid in front of the rim. both ends of the floor, offensive and defensive end of the floor. This guy is now going in with authority, whether he's blocking a shot, taking that extra step for a layup, slamming it home with a dunk. Bam Adebayo has cracked the aggression code, and I absolutely love it. Some of the standouts from last night, Gabe Vincent. You guys know I am more than willing to admit when I'm wrong. And yeah, prior to the season, early in the season, God, I was wrong about Gabe Vincent. He's been incredible. One of the co-scoring leaders for the Heat last night. Tyler Hero and Gabe Vincent both scored 20 points. Hero did it off the bench. And I love how for Hero, it hasn't just been the scoring lately. It's also been the distribution. I mean, Tyler Hero, who had 6 rebounds and 5 assists last night to go along with his 20 points, had a good shooting night, an okay shooting night, 7 for 13. The guy who didn't have a good shooting night last night, and it's nice to know that he can still dominate when he's not at his best. Jimmy Butler only shot 4 for 13 last night, scoring 15 points. And the other thing about Jimmy that was kind of annoying, just 7 for 10 from the free throw line. I'd like him to get back to being a little bit more consistent at that. But for a lot of teams, you look at, who's the superstar player, who's the alpha for the Heat, technically, although they have a handful of alphas, technically Jimmy is the guy. It's nice to know the best team in the East can still handily defeat the second best team in the East, despite the fact that he's having a poor shooting night like that. Devin Jordan writes in, Gabe Vincent won me some money on a prop bet. Ooh, what was the prop? Was it an over, like an individual over under? And even I can't even really talk any crap. A little bit, because he didn't have the best night, but he hit a few big threes, was 3 for 8 from 3. But even Duncan Robinson, I can't talk a whole lot of shit about the $150 million bricklayer or whatever it is, Duncan Robinson. I can't even talk a whole lot. The $90 million bricklayer. I can't talk a whole lot of crap about Duncan Robinson today. This team is just dialed in. As Jay Smith writes in, this team is just scary, especially on defense. Now, I can still celebrate the victory last night. I can celebrate the way Bam played and just the way the Heat dominated the team that is second place, for what that's worth, in the Eastern Conference. It's worth pointing out, though, my friends, for as much as I'm bullish on the Heat, and I think they are a legit championship contender, and certainly a contender to come out of the Eastern Conference, the Chicago Bulls, who they beat last night, them boys are a bunch of frauds. The Chicago Bulls are a bunch of frauds. Now, this is the definition to me, Chicago, of just a really good regular season team. And, unfortunately, we all know this in the NBA. The playoffs are so different. I mean, obviously, you want to do as well as you can in the regular season for seeding. And I think seeding is going to be pretty important this season. It's been important the last couple of years with this play-in nonsense. So, you have incentive to play well during the regular season. You want to make the playoffs. You want to have the best possible seed. But what happens in the regular season doesn't really translate a whole lot into the postseason. And if you look at what the Chicago Bulls have done this year, all that they've done to stay in the conversation for the number 1 seed in the East is they've beaten up on the bad teams. All they've done this year is beat the teams they are supposed to beat. And there's value in that, sure. But I can also look at Chicago and say, these guys in a playoff series against a decent opponent are probably going to get smoked. So the Chicago Bulls now at this point, almost, about 60 games into the NBA season. Chicago against the Miami Heat, they're 0-3. The Heat have owned their asses this year. Chicago against the Phoenix Suns, 0-1. These are some of the top teams in the NBA, of course. Against the Golden State Warriors, 0-2. Against the Memphis Grizzlies, 0-2. Against the Milwaukee Bucks, 0-1. Against the Philadelphia 76ers, 0-3. They're not beating anybody. I think they've got one win against Cleveland. It's like the best team that they've beaten this year. I think they might have snuck a victory against the Jazz. Like, there was somebody out west that, but for the most part, they've got like 2 wins and like 15, 16 losses against the teams that are at or near the top of the National Basketball Association. That team is a fraud. My guy Chris knows it. I've been saying this for weeks, Donno. Chicago is fool's gold. I've seen the Chicago team before. Good defense, ball control, nowhere when it counts, he says. Yeah, listen, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle in the playoffs. Like listen, if we end up finishing Miami, Chicago number 1 and number 2 seeds, I would love to face that team in the Eastern Conference Finals because it's probably a sweep. I just don't see how they're going to come out of their bracket. Like there's no way they're going to get that far. Sadrak says Heat will be dangerous as a number 2 seed in the playoffs, whether they're 1, 2, even 3. The Miami Heat are going to be that team that nobody wants to face in the postseason because, postseason Jimmy Butler is a dangerous animal. Bam Adebayo, if he can maintain and postseason Bam, especially go back to the bubble run a couple years ago, before he got hurt, is obviously an incredible player, and he seems to have cracked that code of aggression. Tyler freaking Hero has been great all season long. If Duncan Robinson can figure out and remember how to make some shots, I don't know what Kyle Lowry's going through. I don't know. He missed the game last night. Thankfully, when Kyle Lowry doesn't play, Gabe Vincent usually steps up and plays as well or even sometimes better than Kyle Lowry plays. So the Heat are in good hands. But yeah, to make a postseason run, you obviously want to have Lowry as your starting point guard, and he's got that championship experience. I don't know what he's going through. He missed the game last night for the same, reportedly, I think it was Ira who said this, that the reason why he missed last night's game were the same personal reasons that he was going through when he missed a previous stretch. I don't know what it's about. I don't care. It's none of my business unless he wants to put it out there publicly. It does me no good to dig and figure out what's going on. But obviously I hope that, we're talking, about a month and a half, 2 months, about a month and a half when the postseason gets underway. I want him to have those issues behind him, to be able to completely zone in, because the Miami Heat are a team nobody in either conference, if they can get to the finals, nobody is going to want to face this team in the playoffs, man. And okay, Colin Cowherd is out there stirring the pot. Now, I want to remind you guys of something, okay? Whenever Colin, and I respect what he does. He's created a big audience. He's making probably more money a year than I'll ever make in like a 10-year stretch. So I respect what he does. I'm just saying that when Colin Cowherd starts running his mouth about the Miami Heat, don't forget, this is the same guy that about 3 years ago had no idea who Bam Adebayo was. Do you remember that really cringe clip of Cowherd talking with Joy Taylor? Joy, of course, is our girl who came down from the South Florida media circuit. I worked with Joy, many years ago, about a decade ago at WQAM. And she was talking about, this was obviously Bam was a younger player at this time, but well known. Everybody should have known Bam Adebayo by then. And Joy's talking about Bam. And Colin's like, well, what is that? What's Bam? Why are you saying Bam? What are you talking about? And she's like, Bam Adebayo. You had no idea. Like 3 years ago, I had no idea who Bam Adebayo was. So long story short, this guy starts giving opinions on the Miami Heat. I can't take them that seriously coming from someone who 2 or 3 years ago didn't know who Bam Adebayo was. Now, Colin is talking about LeBron James and how, LeBron, maybe his best option would be to come back on down to Miami. And hey, that would be a good option for LeBron. But is it the best option for Miami at this point? 37-year-old, the ego has gotten bigger, not smaller. LeBron, whatever the ego that substantive ego LeBron had, 8 years ago when he was still in the Miami Heat uniform, the ego has gotten greater, not lesser, since LeBron was here. Okay. So Cowherd, he thinks that, LeBron, you pair LeBron with Jimmy Butler. I would assume he must be talking about next season because the trade deadline is closed. So this would have to be an off-season trade. You pair LeBron with Jimmy Butler, and then that Heat team would win a championship. So Colin rightfully doesn't think LeBron and these Lakers are going to win a title again anytime soon. He's right about that. He doesn't think the Heat are capable of winning a title without LeBron coming back. I would disagree with that. So here was Colin Cowherd's trade idea, okay? The Miami Heat receive LeBron James. The Los Angeles Lakers acquire Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, our baby goat, Duncan Robinson, 3 first-round picks. Now, if I'm Pat Riley, I get that offer, the first thing that I do is I hang up the damn phone, okay? 37-year-old LeBron James. Now, listen, I know what you're thinking. 3 first-round picks, the Heat, with the Heat, with the first-round picks they have available, you'd probably have to start digging into like the 2030s to get all those picks. Riley doesn't really like to use first-round picks anyway, but hold on. You're talking about future first-round pick assets. Even if you don't plan on using all of those in the draft, those become bargaining chips to potentially get other players in a trade who are younger than 37 years old, right? By the time LeBron's 42, 43 years old and retire, you're like, oh, yeah, we don't have a first-round pick this year because we used that in that LeBron deal 6 years ago. You're going to feel pretty bad about that. And another thing is also, if I were Los Angeles, it's 3 first-round picks is fine, but as far as the players coming over, I feel like they would try to ask for somebody like Bam Adebayo. Like, I don't think that they would stop and say, okay, the 3 first-round picks, but then the only players we want are Lowry, Tyler Hero, who I would hate to give up, and Duncan Robinson. Now, I think I would send – you guys know me. I would actually drive Duncan Robinson to the airport. I would pay for his plane ticket to Los Angeles, first class. I'd say, hey, bro, I'm gonna pay for your ticket. Let me drive you out of here. But listen, man, if this were 5 or 6 years ago, yeah, we could talk. And I think that as far as the whole spiteful thing goes, I think Riley and LeBron, I think at this point, because Riley likes to take the high road. He likes to bury the hatchet. So they've probably buried that hatchet. But no, if LeBron James were to ever come back to Miami, and I don't think it's impossible, I don't think it ever should happen because I prefer players who don't support China. But if LeBron James ever were to come back to Miami, I think it would have to be on the Godfather's terms. Like, I think you'd be talking about not a gigantic trade like this. Like, come back to us as a free agent so we don't have to give up assets for a guy who, late 30s, maybe even 40s by the time this ever happened. And, you can finish your career at, the only team you ever played for that really mattered, the place where you won 2 championships. But no, I am not making that deal. Now, I don't know who he's talking when he says he's crazier than Putin. Are you talking about LeBron? Are you talking about Cowherd? David says, plus China James will also just eventually leave a team so he can play with his son. Well, yeah, and that's a great point. Like, you would have to make sure that you draft Bronny Jr., right? And I think he's still got a couple of years left before he's eligible, but I heard he's not even projected to be a first-round pick. What happened there? I mean, it was the same thing with Jordan's kid, right? Jordan had a kid who played basketball who unfortunately, couldn't get anywhere near the Michael Jordan legacy. So, maybe it wouldn't, maybe he could still draft Bronny, but somebody's going to reach for him, right? Because that's the thing. It's like, okay, he's projected as a second-round talent, but someone's going to take him in the first round just because you're basically drafting LeBron Sr. So, yeah, I guess that's the way that would work. All right, but let's bring in our very good pal, hardest working man at the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I love this dude. Brady Hawk is with us. Now, Brady, you probably caught the tail end of that conversation there. I was reacting to the Colin Cowherd trade scenario. What do you think about the idea? The Heat get LeBron back in exchange for Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson, and 3 first-round picks.
I think it's that Colin Cowherd and others don't know anybody that's on the Heat's bench beyond their top 3 players, that they have to try to stir something up and have a conversation about the number 1 seed in the East because there's no other comments to be had about it or opinions to be had. It's just one of those things. It makes no sense to even discuss. Like, it just feels like even you just talked about you'd have to, if you get LeBron, you have to try to lock up Bronny to keep him. You're trading away 3 to 4 first-round picks. How you think you're getting them? You're trading every one of your picks until 2030. So, the whole process here makes zero sense. And then there's also the crowd about maybe just Jimmy for LeBron straight up. Like, there's no personal level involved in this. Like, we're just going to give up everything to just do a quick 2-player transfer. That just feels like one of those national things that they don't really know what's going on with this team. So let's try to stir something up.
Yeah, listen, I said it that I don't think it's impossible that LeBron at some point, returns to the Miami Heat. I just think it would be on Riley's terms, like free agent, that probably would not even want to pay the max for him. Like, come finish your career here. We'll have some video tributes and celebrate what you did in Miami. So, like, do you think that day may ever come and maybe put a percentage on it, like a percentage chance LeBron James someday returns to Miami?
I personally can't see it. Like, I feel like he rides it out with the Lakers until Bronny does get drafted, and then just whatever team that ends up being, he just goes there. And if it's not that, I think that the higher percentage is Cleveland. Like the thing we keep talking about.
Yeah.
I know he kind of denied it because there was some comments out there that got turned a certain way, but Cleveland's the team that he's tied to the most. It's just the most obvious thing. I feel like the Heat, they're beyond that. Like they've just already gone in a different direction. If they want, LeBron wants them to develop Bronny because they know they have the best developmental training in the league, maybe that percentage could be around 2 to 5%. But other than that, I just really don't see it.
Yeah, I could see that. I probably wouldn't go any higher than 5%. Like it's not impossible, but
Right.
it's also not impossible that I win Powerball this week. So
Yeah.
for what it's worth, And all right, so I do want to. There's a lot of stuff I want to dive into, but I knew the comments were going to come up quickly. You see, Enrique writes in, Depot, I need Depot news. Yeah, it's March now. Anything on Depot?
Yeah, no, there was some tweets going around that it was like changed on Heat.com or something. Depot's injury, but there's no injury report yet today. So that's kind of the official thing. He's still in Sioux Falls, I think, for the next 3 games or so. He's not playing in any games over there, but it's just the practicing. But that second week of March was reported by Woj, and a lot of people are aiming for that time next week. There's a pretty interesting games in there because he could return against Houston, who he was just in recently. He could return against Phoenix, which would be a really fun game at home against Phoenix, who's atop the league right now. There's just a lot of those type of games that second week. It's going to be interesting. The other interesting part, and I'm sure we'll get into, is a lot of these guys that he could be replacing are really rolling right now. So it's interesting to see how they're going to work that all in.
Yeah, and listen, these recent Heat performances, everybody has been rolling, and obviously this is not a guy who Depot would be replacing, but this past dozen games or so have been the best basketball Bam Adebayo has been playing in his career. I mean, it's just it is eye-opening. And what are some of the factors you attribute to that? I mean, for me, the big thing is he seems to have cracked the code of aggression, right? For everyone calling for aggressive Bam, he is going to the rim with authority in ways he used to be too timid to do.
Yeah, you hear about good offensive players when they talk about like defense dictating their offense. Offense dictates defense too for good defensive players. I just feel like the aggression thing is one thing. I think it's a Kyle Lowry factor, but as we saw last night, he's going as well. Like he'll go at you. They'll run different stuff for him. There's specific plays that they run with him at the top of the key where he can still play make when needed. Like he's doing a lot of this offensive stuff. But as much as we're seeing the aggression, we're seeing these high attempt games, like nothing comes close to what he's doing defensively. And the Defensive Player of the Year stuff aside, like the stuff he's doing for this team specifically, what they do defensively is insane. I know I keep talking about the one play last night where he was guarding the ball handler in the pick and roll, does a basically 360 spin when he throws the lob and blocks the roller. Like if you're guarding a ball handler in a pick and roll, you should not be blocking a lob pass to the roller. Like that's just not a normal thing to do. The switching, like they were involving everything that Jimmy or PJ can handle Vucevic on, a switch, and Bam was going to take care of DeRozan or Levine, and he did that. Just a lot of good stuff you're seeing defensively, and how he is the kind of the base to this all going. But we talk about Depot and we talk about these different things and saying the ceiling of this team rising when he returns. The ceiling of this team is not Depot. The ceiling of this team is Bam Adebayo. And when he's playing like that offensively and he's going and they can say in a fourth quarter, we're going to give you the ball and you're going to attack a guy that cannot stay with you at all. Or the Spurs game where he was getting the ball off that rim and he was pushing pace and nobody can stay with him when he's pushing that pace. That's the ceiling of this team.
So, by the way, I want to remind everybody, because I know everybody loves Brady. Let me point the right direction there. A few people love me. Some people hate me. But no matter whether you love me or hate me, you probably love Brady. And do us a solid. Smash the like button, guys. Smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, 5 Reasons Sports, here on YouTube, and tell your friends, man. It's amazing because sometimes I feel like, well, everybody who's interested in this stuff probably already knows about 5 Reasons Sports, but no, man, every now and then I'll talk to somebody. Maybe they hear me on AM radio. They're like, hey, I just found out you do YouTube every day for 5 Reasons. What is that? I subscribe. So yeah, there's new people that find us all the time. And you want to make sure you follow Brady Hawk on Twitter at Brady Hawk 305 because he does tremendous breakdowns. I mean, people like Brady, they make Heat fans smarter because he really takes you inside basketball in a way that a lot of other people either cannot do or are simply unwilling to do. So yeah, make sure you
Appreciate
smash
that.
the like button and subscribe. Yeah, of course, man. And okay, so I wanna circle back to the Depot question, but the big picture of it, because you talked about it a little bit. What's going to happen when the Heat are fully healthy? Like who's going to lose minutes? Because basically everybody who's had to step up has stepped up. I look at the way Gabe Vincent's playing. I look at the way Caleb Martin is playing. He freaking posterized Vucevic yesterday with a ridiculous dunk. It's like, whose minutes is Depot taking?
It's a good question. I think where we're past is as good as, Max Strus had a good fourth quarter, 13 points in the fourth last night. But I think they're past the point we're going with two shooters or two one-dimensional offensive players. We've already seen that shift with this current team without Oladipo. Like they're going to go with a Gabe, they're going to go with a Caleb over those type of shooters because we've seen Gabe pop off with a good shooting night. We've seen Caleb do it as well, but what they bring defensively transcends that. So I think that's kind of out of the question with Max. The next question is, I think the bench unit is Tyler, Dedmon, Depot, which, by the way, I will say I still am saying that Depot is going to have to earn this spot. Like, this isn't like Depot's just going to be handed a role in this team. With the way Gabe and Caleb are fighting right now, like, it's not just going to be a given, but I think he will get to that point. Like, he's just such a talented player that he's going to be a bench player. And I think it's going to have to do a lot with matchup. Like, you're watching last night, the way Gabe can compete and the way he can provide things offensively. But then you're also seeing what Caleb's doing, and he's guarding Levine, he's guarding DeRozan. He has that length to be able to put on. Like, as much as Gabe can handle those guys, he's not going to be lengthy or tall or big enough to do that in a playoff series when they're going to attack those mismatches, and then maybe they could throw you off. I think he's a spark player that they can go to, and there's specific matchups that he can be the rotation guy. Like, I feel like it's going to be Caleb and Gabe possibly fluctuating a bit, at least in the first or second round, depending on the matchup. But I feel like once it comes down to it, it could end up being an 8-man rotation. The Marquise factor could come back in because he could be returning pretty soon, and then you're going to see what he does there. I think there's specific matchups as well where, as good as Dwayne Dedmon is as a backup big, I think there's some matchups there that maybe he maybe sits for a series or maybe sits for a couple of games in a series because maybe against these kind of smaller teams, they could go that like a Brooklyn, they might be able to get away with it. I think they maybe go smaller and go with Caleb plugged in there and to kind of rotate PJ and Bam. So there's different ways they can go about it, but I think the rotation is pretty set in that way at the top half, and it's just kind of plugging in the hot hand, which, by the way, we've seen different guys be the hot hand this season that I could be by game 82. Is it Max? Is it Gabe? Is it Caleb? Who's rolling? That they're just going to roll right into that hot hand.
By the way, I think this is a good question here by Black Mo. He says, well, how invested in Depot are the Heat? Well, if you go by literal investment, he's making minimum money. So the same way, like, I don't want to be a hypocrite because, like, I criticize Duncan Robinson when he's not playing well. And a big reason why I do that is because how much money he's making. With Oladipo, it's a show me deal. It's a minimum 1 year show me deal. So it's like, the Heat don't feel any financial pressure to squeeze him into the rotation if they don't have to. So it's like, if they can't find a spot for Depot and they still make a deep playoff run, who cares,
Yeah, it's no risk, high reward. And we're talking about the investment. I think about the other way because I see Depot, how invested he is in his team. Like, he wants to be good in Miami. I think back to the scrimmage before the season. Like, he wasn't even close to being ready at that time, and they were running a scrimmage, and he's sitting on the bench unit side of things, and every play he's jumping up and down, screaming, slamming the ball, getting involved. Like, he wants to be involved on this team, and that's why I think the investment stuff comes in because the Heat were invested with him. They took a chance on him. They traded for him. But the investment part for Miami will be next season. Like, if he pops off late in the season, he plays really well. What teams are they because there's going to be certain teams that they have money. We're going to take a flyer on Victor Oladipo and throw the bag at him. We've seen it happen, especially with Heat guys, because we've seen the Heat develop guys. They didn't develop Victor Oladipo, but there's these lower level guys they develop. They go to another team, and then you don't really hear about them after a few years. So that's going to be the interesting part is after this season.
The Chicago Bulls, who the Heat beat up last night, and it wasn't even as close as the scoreboard looked, they should certainly be proud of the season that they're having because standings-wise, they're overachieving. And so Chicago is a team, like, they've beaten all the teams that they're supposed to beat. They have so much trouble against, the top 5 teams in either color. It's crazy how bad they are.
Wild.
I was going through the record earlier, and I know you mentioned something in your 5 takeaways. Does Chicago fit the build of teams Miami wouldn't mind seeing? I think if by some miracle, like, you can face them in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think that could be a Miami sweep.
Yeah, I think There's certain teams. The reason I say that is not only because Chicago's just, I don't think is a good playoff team. Like there's certain matchups, by the way, first round that I might not even take the other team. Like if
Yeah.
Boston was the matchup with a Chicago, I might take a Boston. A Brooklyn, if they get out of the play in there, I might take a Brooklyn. But with what Miami does defensively, as I was talking about before, they like these teams that play inside the arc, and that's Chicago. We saw immediately DeRozan is MVP candidate. Like that's how good he's been. But he's an inside the arc player, and when they're running these pick and rolls with Vucevic and they're going inside the arc and try to force things in, you see what they do because we look in that first quarter specifically. Last night I went over in a breakdown today that they just mess everything up. Like they were throwing different things at them, and they can send the doubles. And it was something I asked Eric Spoelstra about after the game was Jimmy when he's that free safety. Like how much does that does he have to like dial him back at all? And he was like, there's Heat rules and then there's Jimmy Butler rules. And that's what it seems like because you see the way when they can run that stuff and they put PJ and Bam on two top tier players on your team, and you can have Jimmy just kind of doing whatever he wants and running around and just getting 4 steals in 8 minutes to start a game. That's when they're at their best. So there's these certain teams like Chicago, possibly Philly, but I think the Harden factor could change that. Before the Harden thing, it was definitely Philly because they play a lot inside the arc. But that fits Miami's build. And it's just, no matter what the team's build is anyway, they're going to make it so tough for your best player because we've seen what they can do to so many of these guys. They're just going to throw you off. And in a 7-game series, I don't think any top-tier offensive player wants to see this team.
By the way, I like this comic. It's so random. Brooklyn Rob says Brady Hawk needs wireless earbuds. I don't have them. I don't have wireless earbuds either.
I actually have them. But
you have it. You choose not to use them.
I just choose it. Yeah, that's just more for like a run or just like casual things. These got to stay in here.
They seem expensive. Like, did you get like the knockoff ones? Because like the actual Apple ones, it's like I can't pay that much for headphones. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got the regular AirPods a couple years ago for Christmas. So yeah.
Okay, it was a gift. I can understand that. Oh man, that's cool. Okay, so as far as matchups from the Heat side, you would prefer to avoid in the playoffs at least for as long as possible. Which teams scare you most in the East? Like for me, obviously Milwaukee. Some people are still trying to make the case for look how dangerous Brooklyn would be with everybody around. But I don't know. What do you see as the biggest opponents of danger?
I still look at Milwaukee as the top of that because it's the factor of getting healthy, like the Brook Lopez factor, these different factors. I still think Miami could handle them because I think, as I said, beginning of the season, the PJ Tucker changing from Milwaukee to Miami, I think could make a difference in a series. Like that's how crucial he can be defensively. And we saw that last night. I'm not as high on Brooklyn. Like I'm not a believer in that they can. I just feel like the depth on that team is just not enough. I know you shorten rotations in a playoff series, and I know what Kevin Durant is capable of because he's the best player in this league when healthy, and he can just totally take over. But I think after Milwaukee, it probably is Philly. And there's a couple reasons. I think the big thing is I talk about things defensively. Philly can take good defenders out of a game because they can foul you out. Like they can get Bam a quick 2 in a game. Like they can go with Joel, get Bam a quick 2, and all of a sudden you're have to go to Dwayne Dedman with 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Like that stuff is like a difference maker. And I think we're still gonna have to see a little bit more Philly, what they're capable of, and besides the free throw line, because I don't know if you saw that one the other night when they had beat at like 27 free throw attempts.
Yes,
that's just it's a good. I'll just say it's a good thing Miami has depth. We talk about Miami having depth. They have so many playable bodies that could actually be helpful. That so many people are chanting for Omer Yurtseven minutes. He might be getting minutes in a Philadelphia 76ers series.
Yeah. By the way, so in the title of the episode, I mentioned Heat are the best in the East, and I think if I'm reading this correctly, Chris thinks that we're nuts because the Heat are the best team in the NBA. Whoa, that's how, who is Brady Hawk? Who is? And be honest, I know you're a very truthful man. Who is the best team in the NBA right now?
I still think it's the Suns. The Chris Paul factor. Maybe if you're saying right now, maybe you can make the case because without Chris Paul, I don't think they're as good. But when Chris Paul is healthy, that team's the best team in the NBA. Like I feel when talking about the Heat making a run to the championship, my preseason prediction in the playoffs was a Suns Heat finals, which is not looking too terrible. But I still am a believer of the Suns because I don't think they have many weaknesses. I think they can close you out late. They have a good defense. They have 2 fantastic scorers out of pick and rolls that I just feel like they're the best team. But it's not to say right now, if we said this before the season, that it's a debate, we'd kind of be looking like that. That sounds a little wild, but it could be a debate because that's how good they've been defensively, especially.
I love this from our guy Alejandro from the network. He says Brady is our sixth man of the year. He might just be our MVP. I don't know why you got to make him a sixth man. I don't know why. Yeah, I feel like you're downgrading his status. Like he's not our Tyler Hero. He's our Bam Adebayo. Did you cover the game in person last night?
Yeah,
I figured because they won so comfortably. I'm like, Brady. I know Ethan's not there. Brady must be there.
Ethan was there. We were both
he
there.
was?
So I think I countered it. It was okay.
And by the way, I want to let my viewers know, and hopefully Brooklyn Rob is still in here. I saw a couple things I want to let our viewers know. Happy birthday to Jeff Fox. So it's not only is it Manny Chang's birthday today, I gave him the day off. He took the day off. He didn't have to ask my permission. He's at Disney World. And Jeff Fox, my guy. And this is, it's Jeff Fox from the Sports Brothers, Jeff Fox Show. Great dude. I've known Fox for probably 15 years. And I'm sure he's honored to share a birthday with Manny Chang. I'm sure he is. And man, I wanted to ask Brady something else on the way. I forget. I got so distracted by these birthdays. Oh, yes. Oh, here. I wanted to mention this. And this is not so much a question, but I do want Brady to hear this. And I want everybody in the chat to hear this. I see my guy, Brooklyn Rob, in there. I have bet on the Heat 2 of their past 3 outings, and I have won against the spread. Both of those, I bet on the Heat minus 4.5 against the Knicks, and I bet on the Heat minus 4.5 last night. So I'm not saying I'm not a mush. Maybe I'm not a mush, but I am saying the Miami Heat are so good. I can't mush them the way that I can apparently mush the Panthers. I've had to stop betting on the Panthers because I bet on the Panthers 2 times during their recent losing streak, and it went very horribly for them. So I'm no longer mushing the Heat. So maybe Brady, even Ethan, who's a known mush, and me being a known mush, we are not even powerful enough to bring this team down.
I don't know, but I will say if you're going to bet on anything about the Heat, it better be games because don't bet on awards because don't let voters dictate your picks because I feel like that's the biggest thing. Let the Heat dictate on the court. When you're betting on Bam Defensive Player of the Years and you're looking at these numbers and seeing the amount of names ahead of them or Coach of the Year, I'd definitely stick to the games if I was you.
I love it. And yeah, I see. And I love it when people in the comments are not only saying to hit the like button, but Chris says I'm playing with fire. Don't worry about the Heat now. They're on their way to the finals. You guys, you know him, you love him, Brady Hawk. Follow him on Twitter at Brady Hawk 305. Anything you want to promote you have coming out on the website or podcasting this week?
Yeah, 5 on the floor at Brady Hawk 305 on Twitter. And then I posted a Sound On breakdown this morning. It's on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel and my Twitter account. So
keep up the good work, man. And next time you're in here, I want to see you with the wireless AirPods.
Okay, I got you. Thanks for having me on.
Brady Hawk 305. I love it. I got to get some of those. Like my wife was like, she bought some for herself recently. She's like, you should get some of these. Like, why do you use the wires? I'm like, why not? Like, okay, 30 years ago, when people started I don't know how many years ago it was, but when people started using like wired headphones, they probably thought this is the greatest freaking thing since sliced bread. I can plug this in. I can put these things over my ears. I don't have to disturb other people while I'm listening to music. And it's like, if that technology was revolutionary a little while ago, why do I have to get so greedy now and pay like $300 for headphones? It's crazy. Brady's my goat. And what was this? Howard the Knicks. Oh, bro, this TV stuff, it's ridiculous. How have they not figured out that not only are the Miami Heat really good, the Miami Heat are really entertaining. Like, that's an entertaining team to watch on TV. It's not like, this is not the 04 Pistons, right? Where it's like, oh, really good team, but not the most fun team to watch on television. No, the Heat are fun to watch. Jose says, how are the Knicks 76ers on ESPN over Heat Bucks tomorrow? Yeah, I mean, that's a gigantic game. You have the best rivalry in the NBA right now, but you decide to put Knicks on primetime again, who just got blown out. I hope sincerely at some point in my lifetime, I hope I'm on this planet a long time. Okay, I'm 37 years old. I hope I'm here for at least another 60 years. Okay, some point in my lifetime, I would love to see the Knicks franchise just dissolve or fall off the face of the earth. They're never going to be good again. Never going to be good. Most dysfunctional franchise, at least as long as James Dolan is alive. The Knicks will never rise to prominence again. How have people not figured out that they're irrelevant? Doesn't matter what city they play in. Don't talk to me about the city. Oh my God, New York. Last I checked, all the New Yorkers, they're getting the hell out of there. The New Yorkers want to live here. They want to live in Florida. New Yorkers don't even want to live in New York, okay? So don't talk to me about the city that they play in. Don't talk to me about the arena they play in. It's the Mecca, bro. Madison Square Garden, greatest arena ever. Talk to me about the actual basketball team and tell me, what exactly have they done in the last 50 years? That team hasn't won a championship since 1973. 49 years, I guess. Close. I was close. Phil Jackson was playing for the New York Knickerbockers. They probably called them the Knickerbockers back then. They didn't even start calling them the Knicks yet. The last time that team actually won a championship. And for some reason, the TV networks and ESPN mainly have not figured out this is a ruined poverty franchise, and there's no reason to give these guys coverage anymore. Give us a reason to give them coverage. There's no reason. New Yorkers don't want to live there. The Mecca, it is what it is. It's a rat-infested venue, Madison Square Garden. But it's crazy. Like, you're going to put Knicks 76ers on TV when you've got Heat Bucks playing the same night, an actual relevant game in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, he says Patrick Ewing the last time that they were good. Sure, like they were good in the 90s, but they didn't win anything. They didn't win a championship. Michael Jordan made sure there weren't too many championships being won outside of Chicago that decade. Yeah, they were good when Patrick Ewing was there, but they haven't actually won a championship since the 70s. TH from the 203 says MSG is just a train station. Yeah, it is. Donno just mushed the Knicks. Yeah. I hope I didn't reverse mush the Knicks. By the way, speaking of mushing, and I'm doing this just for Brooklyn Rob. Oh, he says, I tell my New York friends not to move to South Florida. We've reached our quota on loud, obnoxious New Yorkers. Everybody has wanted to get the hell out of there. Like, you can't, they're going to have like probably, like stay-at-home orders in New York till like 2040. It's like everybody wants to get out of there. Everybody wants to live in Florida. And listen, I take COVID very seriously, but I mean, it's they all want to get the hell out of there and come to Florida. We've reached our quota years ago. If you see the amount of New York, New Jersey license plates driving around, he says I just moved. TH says it. He just moved. Oh my god. So yeah. So for everybody who calls me a mush, I'm going to start using a service. I just had a Zoom meeting with these guys before I started doing the show today. I'm going to start tracking all of my picks, all of my betting picks. I'm going to start using this service. I want to make sure because I want to promote them because they're helping me out. I want to help them out as well. And listen, if my picks suck, we're actually going to have written proof, recorded proof of what a mush I am. If my picks are good, then Brooklyn Rob is going to have to get me another steak dinner. We still haven't done. It's not his fault, but we still haven't done. He owes me a steak dinner for a Euro soccer related agreement we had last year. So he's going to owe me 2 steak dinners by the time we're done here. So yeah, there's this service, tallysite.com, TALLY site.com. And every time I want to make a sports bet, I'm going to not only place the wager, but I'm going to record it at tallysite.com, and my picks will be out there public. So we could see how I'm doing. And guys, when I'm making my bets, and I've been doing well lately, thanks to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat have been carrying my ass from a betting standpoint lately. When I'm looking to place my bets, I place them all at America's favorite sports book, our official sports book, betus.com. Yes, it's available in Florida. I know not everybody who watches this is in Florida, but a lot of you who are, you're concerned, what can I use here? What's blocked? What's not blocked? You can use the full services of the full service sportsbook, betus.com in Florida. They are the 3-decade leader. They've been around for 28 years, paying out their customers, taking your wagers. Guys, it is so easy to sign up at betus.com. You want to do what I've been doing and win some money on the Miami Heat? Maybe you guys can win some money on the Florida Panthers. I've been mushing the Panthers, so I'm staying away. But if you want to win some money on, for my money, the best hockey team in the world. You can place your wagers, international soccer, any sporting event you can think of. They've got odds for it at betus.com, including props and including live betting on all of it. So if you sign up today, when you sign up today, make sure you sign up with our code. We got a hookup for you. Best bonus in the industry. I'm telling you, you're not going to find a bonus like this anywhere in the sports betting industry. 125% sign up bonus. You sign up, you deposit $100, for example, nice round number, with our code 5RSN125. You see it there on the screen. Use our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you 125% bonus. So if you deposit $100, they're going to give you $125 on top of your 100 in free play money. How good is that, man? Sign up today with our code 5RSN125 and bet sports, bet horses, bet pop culture props, live betting on all of it. They even have a full casino on the website, and the mobile phone version of the website is great. It's like having Las Vegas in your pocket. I play blackjack for real money on there. They've got slot games, table games. Guys, sign up today with our code. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. And my friends, make sure if you're looking for a place to watch UFC 272 this weekend, this Saturday, we have a great one. Miami's own Jorge Masvidal is taking on a guy who lives in South Florida. So it's South Florida versus South Florida, two former friends who are now enemies. Masvidal against Colby Covington on pay-per-view, huge grudge match. And if you watch it at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill, you pay zero cover charge. You pay not. You know how much they charge you to watch it at home? If you buy the pay-per-view, $75. You walk into the Quarterdeck, no cover charge to watch UFC 272. Every UFC pay-per-view is at the Quarterdeck Seafood Bar and Neighborhood Grill for zero cover charge. Guys, every sporting event, they got TVs covering every wall. It's a great place to watch. The seafood is so fresh. The burgers and sandwiches are awesome. They got 2-for-1 happy hour all day, every day. That literally never ends. Guys, if you want to find the location nearest to you or visit their menu before you go, check them out online at quarterdeckrestaurants.com. The Quarterdeck, come for the food, stay for the fun. Let's see. Okay, so Brooklyn Robbie says he's ready to mush my diet with Capital Grill. Yeah, I've already I've lost most of the weight that I gained back when I went to Jamaica for a week, and it was an all-inclusive. So, you know, stuff in my face, trying to get my money's worth, man. I was trying to, and I did. I gained. I had lost 40 pounds in about 4.5 months. I gained back like 6 in Jamaica, and I think I've already lost like 5 of the 6 pounds that I gained back in Jamaica. So. James says it's terrible when the number one team in the East can't get any primetime games, and the Lakers. You know, I went on a whole rant about how much the Knicks suck. The Lakers suck probably even worse right now. Now, unlike the Knicks, the Lakers have actually been relevant in the last, 25, 30 years. So at least like the Lakers had Kobe, the three-peat, Phil Jackson, all the titles. They won the bubble championship with LeBron. So at least like the Lakers have had something in the last 30 years to celebrate. The Knicks haven't. But yeah, when it comes to this year, woof, Knicks and Lakers, terrible. And you can't get them off of national TV. It's like, the Heat deserve some primetime games. You can't get these teams off. Couple of football related notes before I'll start sending out some shout outs. Today, I love you guys. Today has been a really busy and active chat. I like this one. GSH Everything says LeBron can go to the Knicks. Honestly, the Knicks are so dysfunctional that LeBron, the defense has fallen off a little bit, not consistently healthy the way that he used to be. He's still an amazing player when he's out there, but LeBron couldn't help the Knicks. Like, the Knicks are beyond saving. Oh, my guy, Devin Jordan. Thank you so much. Says, Donno, would you trade the 29th pick in the draft for DK Metcalf? I would. And I'll tell you why. 29th overall pick, personally, I would be inclined to use that on a wide receiver. And are you really telling me any wide receiver that I draft at 29th overall is going to be as good or better than DK Metcalf? The answer is probably not. Okay, so yeah, I would. Now I know the Dolphins, Chris Greer has his big board Hopefully there are no offensive tackles on his big board because he's not good at drafting offensive tackles, but he's got his big board. He might decide there's a certain player he's really in love with, and it's not necessarily a wide receiver, that he may go a different way with that pick. But if you're asking me, my simple formula would be, do I think DK Metcalf is probably better than anyone you would draft at 29th overall? The answer is probably yes. So yeah, I would make that deal. I don't know if they consider that fair value or not, but that is my criteria. And yeah, I would make that deal. The Dolphins also, they're projected to have the most salary cap space in the entire NFL. They haven't finalized the cap number yet, but they're projected, the Dolphins, to have about $60.2 million in cap space, that's a lot. Okay. And I like this Mike McDaniel, who did an interview. I think this was like a Dolphins self-produced interview, but he had a good quote about all the cap money. He says, "It's not like mom's allowance she just gave you, and you're like, hey, we have some money, let's go spend it." He said, flexibility for sure, that matters, but then that doesn't always mean you have money, you can spend it, which is why I rely on Chris Greer so much," he says, because he would say, like, "Hey, Mike, now let's think about it." And that's a huge part of the process, that coaches can be short-sighted at times. So you need proper balance when talking through anything, especially salary cap spending limits. So, anybody who's followed the Dolphins for a long time knows they've given out some bad free agent contracts, right? I mean, they overpaid Ndamukong Suh, they overpaid Mike Wallace. Sometimes we get the temptation, like, hey, we got a lot of money, let's sign the flashiest name, let's sign the person who sells the most jerseys. There's a player we really want, we have to overpay to get him here, let's do it. Unfortunately, that's not how good football teams are built. That's one of the reasons why the Dolphins haven't been good for a long time. That's, one of the reasons why, like, Dan Snyder's Washington Commanders, is that what they are now? Football team, the word we don't say anymore. Yeah, they're now the Commanders. That's why, they've thrown a lot of money over the years at flashy free agents, and it usually hasn't worked out. So you got to be smart with the money. You have to be. Now, certain potential players, if there's an opening, like, I would love to bring Davante Adams here. I know he would be expensive, but if he's willing to come here and you have to cut a certain check to get him here, can you imagine, in my hypothetical dream world, Davante Adams and Jalen Waddle on the same field at the same time? That's going to make the Dolphins offense a lot better. It's also going to make Jalen Waddle a lot better to take that pressure off of him. Now, with Adams, I think he's made it pretty clear. Sorry to be the one who has to say this, but he's made it pretty clear that if he leaves Green Bay, he wants to play with an elite quarterback. Does that take us out of the running? Sorry, Tuanon, but when he's talking about, playing with an elite quarterback, I don't know if Tua is the guy that he's thinking about. So you may have to really overpay to get him here. By the way, and honestly, I'm with you on this one. He says, I'm still calling them football team. The Commanders, that's a stupid name. It's a really stupid name. Like, they should have just stayed WFT, Washington Football Team. And yeah, honestly, Brooklyn Rob's probably right. Green Bay will tag him. And I'm reading, and yeah, Rodgers. You're probably right on both fronts. I think Rodgers will probably stay there, and then they probably tag Davante Adams. If they don't tag him for whatever reason, then I think you have to try to go all in to get him here. And speaking of tags, like, the franchise tag number for Mike Gesicki would be, around 11 million and some change. That seems to be, like, I was reading a report today that, there's now kind of a belief that the Dolphins could very well use the franchise tag on Mike Gesicki. I wouldn't blame them if they did. I think he's, not necessarily the best fit as a tight end for this offense, but I still think he's a damn good player. So, I would maybe have a certain limit on how much I would pay him for a new contract. And if he's, like, really fights for the wide receiver franchise tag money, that's probably not worth it. But at the tight end franchise tag, 11 million and some, then I think that could be absolutely worth it. I think this is pretty cool, and in not any way, shape, or form surprising. Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald notes, the Miami Hurricanes season ticket sales for 2022 through the fucking roof. I love it. The University of Miami, he said, which sold just under 30,000 football season tickets last season, is on pace to top that, he says. New Canes season ticket sales are up 500% over this time last spring. And okay, obviously, they have to prove everything on the field. They've not played a single game yet with Mario Cristobal, head coach, Josh Gaddis, offensive coordinator, Kevin Steele, defensive coordinator, Charlie Strong, linebackers coach, Frank Ponce, quarterback. They're building an all-star coaching staff. All-star coaching staff. They're recruiting their asses off already. You still have to prove it on the field, but these numbers, they show me two things, right? It reinforces everything that I say about the South Florida sports fan. We are picky, but we will spend money on something we're excited about. We're not bad sports fans. We're selective sports fans. Like, there's a difference, man. I mean, if you live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, if you live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, you don't have a whole lot else to spend your money on. But, the freaking Vikings are playing in Pittsburgh. The Steelers are playing. The Packers are playing. So yeah, you're going to fill up the stadium. You're going to buy all the merchandise because that's your entire life. Your entire freaking life is your football team. We have other lives here. The cost of living, property taxes, which I'm paying through the freaking roof. The cost, it's different here, different vibe. There's a lot of things going on. We're not just going to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars a year to support a team that doesn't give us a reason to support them, right? If you're not good and if you're not ambitious, why would I be ambitious on you if you're not ambitious for me? Like, if you're not trying to build something special and win for me, the fan, why would you expect me, the fan, to blindly spend my money on your product? So that's the South Florida sports fan. We're not bad sports fans. I mean, maybe if you want to define bad as being this, okay. We're not bad sports fans. We're selective sports fans. You build us something exciting. You build us a winner. We're going to spend our money on it, but we're not going to go out of our way to spend money on something that isn't doing right by us. It's why nobody goes to Marlins games, right? And it's why, for a lot of years, only the hardcorest of the hardcore Hurricane football fans were showing up when people like Al Golden and Manny Diaz are your coaches. There's only so much money people are willing to spend on that product. But you go out and you do what you're doing right now with this coaching staff. And I'm excited to be. And the only reason why I'm not a season ticket holder is because I work on the broadcast and I have to be in a studio during the second half of the game. Otherwise, you bet your ass I would be buying season tickets right now to Canes football, because they're actually showing me that they are willing to go the extra mile for me to spend my money. So that's number one. And then number two is, keeping all this in mind, when the University of Miami recently, they completely pivoted their athletic strategy. Right. And they came to the decision, Julio Frank and his advisors, Rudy Fernandez, Joe Echeverria, we need to, the same way we did with the hospital system, which is now very profitable, the UHealth, we need to spend money to make money. Right. That if we actually, and football has the trickle down to the entire athletic department. Right. Basketball, tennis, soccer, and they only have women's soccer, not men's soccer. I wish they had men's soccer, but they only, women's soccer is awesome as well. I don't want to sound like a chauvinist, but diving, swimming, all that stuff doesn't make money if football doesn't make money. Like, football trickles down to everything else. So if you want to make your athletic department profitable, even baseball, like baseball's got some hardcore fans, but they make more money when football's making more money. Like, you have to invest in your football program. And I didn't mean to forget baseball. They trounced Harvard the other day, Harvard. But like these other programs don't make money if football isn't making money. And you can make football make money by letting fans dream a little bit, by building something fans are eager to spend their cash on. And that's what you're doing right now. And, for all this money that they're paying Cristobal and his staff, if you're going to be able to finance that with all this extra money you're now going to be making on tickets and merchandise. It's going to pay off. It's absolutely going to pay off. Let me throw some shout outs. TH, thank you so much. Now, my guy Big Dan 305, he is the hardcore of the hardcore. Like, he doesn't need them to be ambitious. Like, he's one of the few and the proud, and I respect it. He's been a season ticket holder for 10 years, and he goes to the road games. And I know he goes to the road games because he's updated me on Twitter whenever, he and his wife, like they've traveled to all the ACC cities. They're in North Carolina. They're in Pittsburgh. I think that is awesome. David says, Donno, if things go well, Canes wise, we might got to have a talk and maybe I head down there for a Canes game. How about that? Yeah, Dave. And it's listen, Dave is selective, man. I know he's a big Panthers fan. He's a miserable Dolphins fan because the Dolphins make people miserable. He's going to come down and support the Canes. I appreciate that, man. Chris at the Finns Tailgate, thank you so much. I agree, Brooklyn Rob. 11 million tag is a bargain for Mike Gesicki. I think it is. Like I don't think he's perfect for this offense, but I think he's so good. 11 million, it seems like a bargain to me. That's less than he would make on the open market. Is the point here? Bad college dive bar. I'm not. I think I missed the context on that one. Hold on, let me see who else. I know there's a lot of people to throw out shout outs. 225 Hurricanes. Leave LeBron right where he is. Yeah, a lot of people were saying, because we got real Heat fans in the chat today. I consider myself a real Heat fan. People saying that real Heat fans do not want LeBron James back. I don't. I'm Team Petty. I have been Team Petty since the second he released that corny, manufactured, PR proofread letter that he wrote to Sports Illustrated about why he was going back to Cleveland. Like I've been Team Petty since the second he walked out the door. So I don't want him back. We're doing better without him than he's doing without us. Let's keep it that way. Tim Howard, thank you so much. I don't know if this is the legendary U.S. men's national team goalie or just someone with the same name. Either way, welcome aboard. Dan, thank you so much for tuning in. Devin, thank you so much again for the super chat. Anytime if you guys are able, willing to leave us something in the tip jar, the super chat is usually always open. We appreciate you. James, thank you so much for tuning in. GSH everything. I'm guessing this is probably a Bears fan, right? George S. Hallis. That's what your GHS is for, like on the Bears jerseys. I just cracked the code on that, I think. Eli, thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Dre, thank you so much. Marcus, LeBron needs to stay gone. I agree. Enrique, thank you so much for tuning in today. And guys, again, make sure if you're in here and you haven't already, smash the like button. Do us a favor. Hit the thumbs up button. Doesn't cost you anything. Just helps my self-esteem. And it helps the network grow because the more likes we get, the more algorithms we turn up in, the more people are going to watch these videos. And it goes a long way. Rye, thank you so much. Says Zach Lowe made a good point. The Heat don't have drama like, say, the Nets, Lakers, or 76ers. Heat are constant. So in a sense, it's boring for them. Maybe that's why we're not on TV enough. We might be onto something there. Jose, thank you so much. Yeah, he had the great comment about the national TV thing. Alejandro, thank you so much. And Alejandro is one of the very hardworking people behind the scenes and on the scenes, in front of the scenes, behind the scenes on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. He does a great job. Chris, thank you so much for tuning in. Black Mo, thank you so much. Jory, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't know if it's like a silent J or what, but welcome in either way. One of the birthday boys today, Jeff Fox, thank you so much and happy birthday to you. Method, thank you so much. Yeah, he's the one who said it. Real Heat fans do not want LeBron. Dan, who I think I might have shouted out already, but you get a second shout out because I clicked you by accident. Brandon, thank you so much. I think he was talking about LeBron's kid. Ace, thank you. Daryl, thank you for tuning in. Man, a lot of faces I don't see here very often. I think it might be because we did so much basketball talk today, so we get kind of a different audience, which is cool. I hope you guys don't mind football talk because we do a lot of that. But although this time of year, like we're marching towards the playoffs, we're going to be doing probably a lot more basketball. Like it's always going to be football talk, scouting combine happening, draft coming up. Like there's always going to be football, no question. But I think we're going to be doing more basketball than we've been doing in recent months. Shadrach, thank you so much for tuning in. Jay, thank you so much. We appreciate you getting in there and watching us today. Alex, great name. What's up to you? Thank you so much. Marco, thank you so much for tuning in. And I think that's it. If I missed anybody, I apologize. I didn't do it on purpose. And again, guys, if you support the show, make sure you support our sponsors. We also have an official fantasy sports provider here at 5 Reasons Sports, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is so much fun. It's you versus the numbers. It combines my love for parlays and for daily fantasy. If you sign up with our code 5, that's FIVE, they're going to give you a 100% match on your first deposit up to $100. So take advantage of that. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. And always make sure you're supporting BetUS.com, our official sports book, with a 125% sign-up bonus with our code 5RSN125 and our official sports bar, The Quarterdeck. Come for the food, stay for the fun. All right, I will talk to you guys again next time. Tomorrow, I think we'll be back at 3 o'clock tomorrow, 3 p.m., on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.